Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we'll discuss Of Travel by Francis Bacon. In this essay we'll discuss that how the Bacon is telling about the traveling. Francis Bacon is often referred to as the father of English essay, with his essay discussing topics of ethics, governance and pragmatics. Therefore his style of writing is very prosaic, normative and formalistic. Dear student, in Of Travel, Bacon delves into the various travels we experience in life. According to him, the biggest advantage of travel is the education one receives on his travels and journeys through space and time. Basically, in this essay, he discusses many things about the travelers. We often limit our understanding of education and knowledge creation to reading and writing, but the art of travel adds another dimension to it. Before one starts his travel, he or she must prepare hard for it. Normally, having a company of an experienced person is recommended for the young travelers. The lived experience of such accompaniment will only enhance one's own experience and help tackle various challenges during the same. Basically, Bacon encourages the traveler to take advantage of others' experience and knowledge rather than go into new situations and places blindly. This also pertains to using local guides and travel if need be. So today we'll discuss the lines text of this essay. First of all, he is saying travel in the younger sort is a part of education, in the elder a part of experience. He that travelled into a country before he had some entrance into the language goes to school and not to travel. He is telling when a young child travels around in alien places, he learns a lot from the sight and sound around him. In the process, he is telling about the process that when you are young and when you are old, basically he is telling in the different dimensions. In the process, his awareness grows and his learning process is accelerated. So travel for a young child has good educational value. So the countryside become a school for him, although in an informal way. Next he says that young men travel under some tutor or grave servant, I allow well, so that he be such a one that hath the language and hath been in the country before, whereby he may be able to tell them what things are worthy to be seen in the country where they go, what acquaintances they are to seek, what exercises or discipline the place yields. Here Francis Bacon discusses a youngster traveling to an unknown place under the watchful eye of, you can say, knowledgeable is also desirable. By virtue of the knowledge and experience, the guider can guide you that how a young traveler where to go and when to go, what to see and the type of people to befriend. Basically he is telling that when you have to go somewhere, what things you should need and a good guider should be there. The able guide can also tell the a youngster about the pastime, hobbies and crafts the places are famous for. Here he says, for else young men shall go herded and look abroad little. It is a strange thing that in sea where there is nothing to be seen but sky and sea, men should make diaries, but in land travel, wherein so much is to be observed, for the most part they omit it, as if chance were fitter to be registered than observation. He's saying that without the company of a guide, he will fail to observe the important and interesting thing in the new places. Basically, earlier I have discussed that he is telling about the guider. If you are young and you are going anywhere, you should have a guider there. While on a if you visit sea, the seafarer gets to see nothing other than the vast expanse of the blue water and the unending sky above. In such a case, you should maintain a travel diary. Now he is adding the things one by one. First of all, he was telling that you should have a guide. Now he is saying that you should have a diary. When traveling overland, there is an overwhelming abundance of new sights and sound and things to observe. People generally fail to keep note of every detail of what they come across. He says, let diaries therefore be brought in use. The things to be seen and observed are the courts of princes, especially when they give audience to ambassadors, the courts of justice while they sit and hear causes, and so of the churches and the monasteries with the monuments which are there in extent, the walls and fortifications of cities and towns, and so the heavens and herebots, antiques and ruins, libraries, colleges, disputations and lectures, where any are shipping and navies, houses are gardens of state and pleasure. Near great cities, armories, arsenals, magazines, exchanges, bourses, warehouses, exercise of horsemanship, fencing, training of soldier, and the like comedies, in such the better sort of person do resort. Cabinets and the rarities, and they conclude whatsoever is the memorable in the place where they go. Basically here you should maintain a diary. Basically that's a good idea. He is telling about the diary that you should have. In the diary one can record his observation about the following. He is telling about the things. Basically these two slides, now I am going to explain these two slides. He is saying about some things here we are going to discuss in detail. First of all, he is saying the royal courts of princes, kings and sovereigns. He can observe the splendor courtiers and the practices followed in the courts, the elaborate protocol followed while formally accepting the ambassador from other countries is worth observing and nothing. Basically he is saying about the advantages of diaries. If you are having a diary with you, how many advantages you can avail there. So it was the first. Now secondly, he is saying that the royal courts that here please and dispense justice also offer interesting sight. The practices followed in the Roman courts and those in the English clergy are also interesting. Now he is telling one by one the things. The churches, monasteries, their architectural styles offer much visual delight. It is advisable to observe and record these in the diary. As I have discussed the things, now now I am going to explain the things one by one. Next he is saying the city walls, the for the fortresses and the vast towers that ring the city to ward off invaders are also by very interesting to watch. Next he says the beautiful towns and the harbors also deserve to be seen with observant eye. वो कहता है कि वहाँ पे जो भी जितनी भी चीज़ें हैं उनको एक ऑब्जर्वेंट आई जो है ना वो एक अच्छे तरीके से वहाँ की जो खूबसूरती है उसको एक्सप्लोर कर सकती है. Next he says the antiques, the ruins standing as witness to past attacks of marauding invaders are worth seeing minutely. Now he is saying that colleges, universities, centers of learning, towns, halls where debates are held, stadia, etc., bear testimony to the intellectual vigor of any society. So they should be visited too. Next he says shipping facilities and naval yards are the yardstick of a nation, maritime powers, so they deserve to be keenly looked at. Next he says public offices, buildings and the citadels of power and authority, they are deliberately built majestically to tower over their private buildings nearby the project state power. Similarly, parks and open spaces speak about the taste and the habits of the way people spend their leisure time. Their architecture reflect the aesthetic sense of the character of a race. So these public places are to be visited and keenly observed. Now he is saying that visit to the country's armory and the ammunition storage facilities is quite enlightening too. Visit to warehouses, stock exchanges and wholesale markets are also of good educational values. Seeing sports and horse rearing centers indicate the ability the country to use horse for military and recreational purposes. Visit to opera houses show how cultured the upper sections of the society are. Exhibition of fine jewelry, fine clothing, antiques, etc. throws light on the wealth and the taste of the people. Now on the last he says, in this way one needs to visit all places of interest to bring back a treasure trove of highly rewarding information and knowledge. Basically in these two slides he is discussing many things and I have also explained these things too. Now he is saying as per terms make masks, feasts, weddings, funerals, capital executions and such shows men need not to be put in mind of them, yet are they not to be neglected. Now he is saying that social occasions like marriages, funerals, feasts, public execution, victory celebration, etc. He is saying that these are no doubt important, but they need to be documented or observed so keenly. Basically now he is going to send a very deep message for all of us that these social occasions are there, but we should observe keenly we should observe these things, our social occasions too. Now he is saying if you will have a young man to put his travel into a little room and in short time together, much this you must do. First, as we said, he must have some entrance into the language before he goeth. Then he must have a servant or a tutor as knoweth the country, as was likewise said, let him carry with him also some card or book describing the country where he travelled, which will be a good key to his inquiry. Let him keep also a diary. Let him not stay long in one city or a town, more or less than the place deserved, but no long, nay, when he stayeth in one city or town, let him change his lodging from one end and part of the town to another, which is a great adamant of acquaintances. Let him sequester himself from the company of his countrymen and diet in such places where there is good company of the nation where he travelled. Let him upon his remove from one place to another procure recommendation to some person of quality residing in the place, whether he remove, that he may use his favor in those things he desires to see or know. thus he may abridge his travel with much profit. Now I have to discuss these two slides. Basically, Bacon proceeds to give some do's and don'ts for travel expeditions to yield maximum value. Basically, now I'll discuss some the values which he has discussed here. Now, the youngster has to have some basic learning before he sets out on his journey. Basically, now he is discussing about the youngster, that when he will go for a journey, what things he should do. First of all, he is saying the youngster has to have some basic learning before he sets out on his journey. Number second, he must have a dedicated and knowledgeable guide. This man must be well conversant with the country he is visiting. The number third, the guide should carry with him some books, some brochures about the places he has in his travel. These will prove to be handy in course of the travel. Further, he says the learner must have a diary when he can jot down whatever he sees as he moves from place to place. As I have discussed earlier about the diary, he should not stay more than, now that's the a very basic point he's going to discuss, that he should not stay more than it necessary to stay in one place. That he's saying a traveler should not stay on a one place. In case he stays in a city or a town for a longer duration, he must change his lodging and move to another in the other of end of the town to get maximum exposure. He is saying that if you are living in a one town for a long period, you should change your areas too. While staying in a place, he must not choose to stay among people from his own place. Instead, he must choose to live among people of host country so that he gets observe their habits. On the last, he is saying that he must procure and carry with him letters of introduction from eminent people from his own locality to those in the place he is going to visit. This will ease travel, stay, and availability of other convenience too. Basically, I have explained these two slides. Now we'll go further. Now he is saying, as for the acquaintances which is to be sought in travel, that which is most of all profitable is acquaintance with the secretaries and employed men of ambassadors. For so in traveling in one country he shall suck the experience of many. Let him also see and visit eminent persons in all kinds which are of great name abroad, that he may be able to tell how the life agreeth with the fame. For quarrels they are with care and discretion to be avoided. They are commonly for mistress, health, place, and words. And let a man beware how he keep company with the choleric and quarrelsome persons, for they will engage him into their own quarrels. Now he is saying that if you visit any place, in the place where he goes, he must seek out people of eminence like ambassador, senior bureaucrats, and other eminent people who can offer practical help in sightseeing, gathering information, and in availing other comforts needed during travel in a new place. Basically, as he is discussing the thing, he is adding new points. He should avoid, now he is saying that he should avoid getting into arguments, quarrels, and fights with locals. If you visit any place, you shouldn't quarrel with locals. Now he should avoid the company of mistresses and the quarrelsome people, because these are the person who drag him unnecessary fights and unpleasant situation. Basically, this is very keen point, that if you visit any place and you used to quarrel with the local peoples, and that will be very problematic for you on that space. You can say that when you are going to stay there for long, but you have done the bad things with the local, that will be very unpleasant for you. as earlier as you will stay there, basically that will be problematic for a traveler. Now he is saying, when a traveler returned home, let him not to leave the countries where he had travelled altogether behind him, but maintain a correspondence by the letter with those of acquaintances which are of most worth, and let his travel appear rather in his discourse than in his apparel or gesture. In his discourse let him be rather advised in his answer than forward to tell stories, and let it appear that he doth not change his country manners for those of foreign parts, but only prick in some flower of that he hath learned abroad into the customs of his own country. Basically, now he is saying that when you visit some place and when you return to your home, he is saying that on returning to his native home, he must not completely forget the people and places he has visited. You should remember that now. He must maintain the link through letters with those eminent men who had extended courtesy and help to him during his that visit. His heightened knowledge and awareness acquired during the journey are not to be shown off through elaborate attire or mannerisms of the foreign lands. This might invite ridicule and derision. You can say, on the contrary, his new wisdom must reflect in his talking and lectures to his fellow men. He should be concise and factual in his accounts and not weave stories. He must not give an impression that he has forsaken his country manners and dress to adopt those of the lands he has visited. He should selectively describe all the good things he has learned abroad. Basically, in on the last, he is saying that when you return to your home, you should keep the things with you. You should remember all the things, and you should be in touch with that with the people of that area, and you should be because this essay was written in earlier in that era there were letters. For this he is saying that you should be in contact with them with letters, and you should get the things from their tradition, from their society, and from their culture. You should adopt the things as you learn. Basically, overall he is discussing about the things that you should not only visit the thing, you should learn from each and everything. Everything should be the part of your learning, your traveling, your stay, your lunch, your dinner, your breakfast, your dressing, and everything which are associated with your journey. All the things should be very you can say positive and useful for a traveler. In short, he is saying that you should not ruin your traveling by just if you are going to any place, you says that I am going from here and will stay there and will return. You should not go empty and should not return empty. You should have something with you on your return. That's all. Thank you. We'll see you